Next up on Ask the Minister, I've combined three questions into one because they're all asking about the same topic: fear. So the first question is, I want to know, if you had no fear of failure, what bold step would you take in your life right now? The second question: have you ever had to face your greatest fear? What advice would you give to someone who's fearful of facing their fear, even though they know it'll free them to do greater things? And third, if you had no fear of failure, what is one thing you would do that you have not yet done? So let's talk about fear. Fear is usually grounded in either the past or the future. So the past is often because of some traumatic thing that's happened that caused you pain, and you don't want to repeat that as well. And it's also related to the future. Tara Brach, the Buddhist teacher, calls fear the anticipation of future pain. So we don't like to feel pain. So a lot of times our fear is grounded in the avoidance of pain. So I always invite folks to investigate where that pain came from, or where you think it might be coming from, and begin to make peace with it. And we begin to make peace with it by realizing that pain is unavoidable. Pain is a certainty in life. Suffering, how long we stay with the pain and the meaning we assign to the pain, we have some wiggle room there. So we can understand that embracing pain, learning to live with pain, is part of our journey. And when we do that, we become a little less afraid to avoid the things that might cause us pain. So I know for me, for example, growing up, in her way of loving me, my mom wanted to avoid me from suffering. So she felt I didn't have it within me, because I was very young, the knowledge, the experience to make decisions that would be the right ones, the best ones. So she made the decisions for me. As a result, I grew up not learning to trust my own decision making abilities, and therefore I'm always afraid of making the wrong decision. So what I've had to learn to do for myself is go like, there's ultimately no right or wrong decisions. There's just choices that are going to have consequences or results. And some of those results are going to be painful. Some are not. Some are going to be a mix of both. Some of them will lead me in new directions that I didn't anticipate. But I always have the opportunity to course correct, to change my mind and choose again. So it's okay. But that initial embedded fear around making my own choices has never entirely gone away. I've just learned to make peace and live with it. Fear also is what's underneath worry. And worry is what I like to call the misuse of our imagination. Worry is us coming up with the worst case scenarios, and then we got caught in this loop of worst case scenarios. Now it's going to cause me pain. Now that's more fear. Now that's more worry. Now that's more worst case scenarios. So we've got to cut that loop or break that cycle in some way by, first of all, I think, acknowledging that the things that we worry about can legitimately happen and can come true. But so can a lot of other good things as well. So let's use our imagination to create some really good outcomes that exist alongside the worrisome outcomes, and then sort of embrace the fact that we don't ultimately have all the control around which way it goes, and in a lot of cases there will be both outcomes. The other thing about that these questions are asking is around failure. Okay, so again, when we talk about failure, I always invite people to go, well, how do you define success? Because we've set up this binary: we either fail or we succeed in whatever we're doing. And for me, I've learned to realize there really is no binary. Nothing is ever clear cut. There's always an integration of both. So anything we set out and endeavor to do, there will be some measure of success. There will be some measure of failure, because nothing goes exactly how we plan it. So back to that, how do we define success? What are your metrics of success? Is it like the American capitalistic, they say it's a dream, I call it a gaslight. Are those the metrics of success? Are the metrics of success you healing those old wounds that you're operating from that you're not clear about. So, I grew up in abject poverty, therefore success means I have to be a multimillionaire. Like, what are your metrics? Where do those metrics come from? And to perhaps look at those. So back to the questions, which were directed towards me. What would I do if I had no fear of failure? So again, I've learned to embrace the fact that there will be failure in my life. I've failed so many times at different things. And coming on the other side of them that I know from experience, I'm going to be okay if I fail. My metrics of success have also changed. So for me, my metric of success is the thing I'm doing bringing me bliss, bringing me joy, and serving a greater purpose beyond myself? And if the answer to that is yes, like I'm checking both of those boxes in whatever I'm doing, then for me that's a success. It's less about the money, even though money's great. It's less about what others think. It's really just about those two things. Is it bringing me joy, and is it serving a greater purpose? And again, I set out with a thing in mind, and sometimes the universe, life, other people kind of tweak things along the way. So I realize also that in whatever I do, there's gonna be joy, there's gonna be suffering. Sometimes I'm the cause of both for other people. Sometimes other people are the cause of both for me. But to hold both of those things as I endeavor to do whatever I do, and to be able to navigate through those, for me, that's a measure of success as well. So for me, I am already living my life by that paradigm. I am a self-employed writer, coach, minister, educator, activist, polyamorous nomad. Like, that's not the usual thing people embrace doing, and it comes with a lot of risk and a lot of opportunity for a success, but also a lot of opportunity for what some might call failure. But it brings me joy to live this way, and in doing so, I'm also in service to something greater than myself. So I'm checking those boxes. So I'm already doing the things and making the choices that come from not so much not having a fear of failure, but understanding that there are no guarantees either way, and I had to shift what I define failure and success look like. So I'll put this out with perhaps a better question to contemplate, and this comes from a poem by Mary Oliver. And some of us are familiar with the last line of the poem, but I want to back up a few more words. And she says, "Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Let me read that again. "Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" So realizing that nothing is permanent. We're not permanent. We're gonna jump into things, and they're gonna last for a limited time or for the rest of our lives. There's absolutely no guarantees. But what are we gonna do with this one wild life? So if we wait till we can guarantee something is gonna be successful, we may never get up the starting blocks. So that's my answer in response to fear. I hope this helped you in some way. If you want to chat some more, message me directly and we can set up a time to talk. And also visit revogan.net. There's ways you can connect with me there, and also leave a donation if this helped you out in any other way.